Well, Noelle is, as she'll tell you, the Christmas baby. She is a special needs child. When she was born, she was premature, and she was one of my first adoptions, and the birth mom didn't have the best prenatal care or care of herself before Noelle was born. And actually, it was contemplated that someone else would adopt her, but then because of her potential health needs and mental health needs, that didn't happen. So we said, it's Christmas, I'm taking Noelle home, and I did. And like I said, she's a blessing to our family, and I can speak to people about that when you adopt a special needs child, and I think a lot of times a mistake that's made is that social workers don't counsel people about the needs of a special needs child. A lot of these disrupted adoptions that you hear about in the news, like children from Russia, although Russia is now shut down, there's no more Russian adoptions happening, but people were going to Russia because they wanted a white child and they didn't want birth parents to ever come looking for them. Well, they were bringing back all these children that turned out to be children that had attachment disorders, autism. Yeah, nobody is going to look for them from Siberia, but then all of a sudden they weren't prepared for a special needs child. And my daughter will live with me for the rest of her life. I won't marry, and she won't have children, but I'm fine with that, and my family's fine with that. But you have to, when you adopt a special needs child or any adoption, you have to be prepared for that. And so she's my buddy. And then I have another daughter, a biological daughter, Emily, who growing up with a sister with disabilities has become an incredible advocate for people with disabilities, and she has her master's degree, and she works in a hospital that has a program called Project Search, where they identified disabled young adults in the community and they placed them in jobs as interns in the hospital, cafeteria, the daycare center, the welcoming greeting committee, and they train them so that potentially they can have some degree of independence and have jobs with a little stipend to it. So she's become a tremendous advocate, and one day hopes to be even more involved in the education and the advancement of the cause of people with disabilities, which is also my first love, because as I said, I have my bachelor's degree is in exceptional child education. I would say go to an experienced practitioner and go in with your eyes wide open and your heart wide open, because we don't have control over the future. We have less control in adoption, but it is saving a child in the world every time a child is adopted. The difference I've made in children's lives that could have gone that direction or that direction is incomprehensible. It's just when I see them, and you know, I wouldn't worry. I mean, I'm not a worrier, so I adopted. If you're a worrier and you have to have control, then I don't think you should adopt. And I think, though, that you should explore it and then really come to terms with your partner if you have one. Or I have no problem with single parent adoptions. I adopted as a single mom, my daughter, and so you know, it's definitely legal. Now, fortunately, they have removed the prohibition on adopting if you were gay, which we used to have on the books in Florida. And so anybody can explore it, and it's a tremendous thing when you go in with your eyes wide open. She always gives me the third degree about my baby cases. If I come home and I'll talk about such and such, was it a baby boy, is it a baby girl? One fact that's really not so funny, she's so used to adoption, for her it's very natural. So we were at a party once, and there was a pregnant woman, and she went up to her and started asking her about, you know, when are you due? What are you having? The woman said, I'm having a boy. She said, what are you gonna, oh no, she didn't ask what you're gonna name. She said, what are you having? When's it due? And the woman was telling her, and she said, oh, are you gonna keep it? And the lady was like, yes, I'm gonna keep it. But for her, adoption was just so natural, you know, that I said, logical question. So that's one of the fun facts about Noelle. But like I said, her bedroom is equipped. We have the porta-crib, we have the bottles, we have, whenever clients come and stay with us, because sometimes they do when they're from out of town, briefly when they get their baby, we have a downstairs area that's sort of set up as a suite for them. And then when they leave, she loves it because they tend to be flying somewhere, so they can't take all the stuff they buy when they're here, so they leave it to her. So she's well stocked for any baby that would come into our home. I have a website, www.adoption-surrogacy.com, and you can also Google my name, Charlotte H. Danciu. I've been involved in a lot of big cases, especially in the adoption field, that have created the great laws that we have in Florida for adoption. And I've had a lot of interviews and presentations on the surrogacy field that you'd be able to find me that way. But I am in Delray Beach, Florida. That's my base. But I have clients from all over the world. Now with adoption, we cannot place with international couples. But surrogacy, there's no residency requirement. Egg donation, there's no residency requirement.